Welcome to Behind the Mic with AudioFile Magazine. I'm Joe Reed. Emily Connolly is with me, and she is an editor at AudioFile. She's with me for the week. Hello, Emily.
Hi, Joe.
How's your week?
Well, am so happy to get to talk about some audiobooks I really enjoyed listening to. Always a highlight getting to talk to you.
So, what are we going to begin with?
We're going to start in the kitchen, actually, with Deb Perelman's audiobook, Smitten Kitchen Keepers, a kitchen counter conversation. And Deb Perelman is one of the original food bloggers. She's someone I've been following along since, ages and ages ago. And I always still turn to her for recipes, especially for baking. Like, we've just gone apple picking and oh God, we have all these apples. What are we going to do? She's so good at writing recipes that are really approachable. And I think it's so interesting that here she has, a year after her cookbook came out, she has an audio exploration of that cookbook for us to listen to, giving sort of an inside peek into developing some of these recipes, her additional tips and insights that didn't fit in the book. And it's just such a warm listen. It's really comforting, honestly.
So, it's not an audiobook of recipes.
It's not an audiobook of recipes. She's chosen some of her favorites from her Smitten Kitchen Keepers cookbook, and she's narrating the head notes that you would find in that cookbook, but then also adding more context for us. So it's a funny concept, but it actually works really well. I was listening and thinking about how hearing her tell me about, developing or like how this biscuit recipe actually works, why you would want to do it this way. I feel like some of the techniques she talks about will stick in my head better hearing her explain them versus if I was like glancing through a cookbook.
And you have her cookbook.
I have her cookbook. I've had it for the
S-
last year. It's the green spaghetti recipe that's on the cover is one that my daughter asks for all the time. It's like spinach and roasted garlic and butter spaghetti.
Ooh.
And so you get to hear about that recipe in this cookbook and so many others. So it's fun having another way of approaching her cooking. And I don't know if you're familiar with her as a food blogger.
I'm actually not,
You're
so
not. Yeah, so she's really known for trying to figure out the most approachable way to write a recipe. Like what's something that you can actually do in your kitchen at home? What's the easiest way you can do this and have it taste good?
and does she talk about how she figured out the easiest way to make whatever?
Yes, she talks about, trying things again and again, running them by her family, running them by neighbors. She's had this blog for so long. She has all the comments that people write. It's almost like she's got this massive workshop to think through a lot of her recipes too. Like she knows this technique is something that people really love, or this one is way too complicated for people and it always messes up. It's a very conversational style with the recording, which makes sense. It's very casual. She's laughing, she's joking about things as she's reading. It makes for an interesting listen and would be really good, I think, as we're approaching Thanksgiving and the holidays. A nice thing to listen to prepare, or while you are preparing some of the recipes she's talking about.
Well, why don't we listen to a little? Do you have to set this up at all?
Sure, this is from her introduction, and she's explaining a bit about what to expect in the audiobook.
Okay, this is Smitten Kitchen Keepers, a kitchen counter conversation written and read by Deb Perelman.
I'm calling this a kitchen counter conversation. This is the way regular people with regular lives talk about how they're going to make breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And they've always been my North Star in the kitchen. I want to lean into this here and add a level of chat, a little insight, and a few sidebars that would have never made the cut in a 336-page book.
Oh, she's really kind of charming, isn't she? Great tone.
She is, and she's very funny, and it's a familiar writing style to if anyone's read her blog or read her cookbooks. Obviously, you're familiar with her writing, so it's fun to get to hear her talk about it and work through some of these recipes. And, you can't listen and not want to try to cook some of these things. I listened to a bunch of it in the car and was like, "Oh, man, now I'm really hungry."
It actually makes sense as an adjunct to the actual cookbook itself. To have both really seems to make sense to me.
Yes, I think so. So if
It's a good combo
It's a
gift.
great combo gift, but also when you get the audiobook, you get a PDF of the recipes that
Oh,
she's talking
cool.
about. So you don't have to buy her other Smitten Kitchen Keepers, the original cookbook. It's a great cookbook, so you could. But if you're someone who wants to keep things pared down, you could just get the audiobook with the PDF and be able to follow along and try out the recipes.
Fabulous. And that is Smitten Kitchen Keepers, written and read by Deb Perelman. You're off with a bang.
Yes, very fun to start in the kitchen, and we'll see where we go next.
Okay, looking forward to it. Emily, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Support for Behind the Mic comes from Harper Horizon, publisher of the new audiobook Friendly Fire, a fractured memoir, based on a gut-wrenching stranger-than-fiction tragedy. Available everywhere you get your audiobooks. Don't forget to follow Behind the Mic wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, leave us a rating. I'm Joe Reed. I'll talk to you tomorrow.